The next topic of Chapter 7 is process analysis and design. When we talk about process analysis and design, we are trying to answer questions like, is the process designed to achieve a competitive advantage? Does the process eliminate steps that do not add value? And will the process win orders? To help answer these questions, there are several tools commonly used. They include flow diagrams or flow charts. We've already discussed these previously, so I won't spend any more time on these. Then we have time function mapping, value stream mapping, process charts, and service blueprinting. Let's look at each one. A time function map takes a flow chart and adds a time dimension to it, usually along the x-axis. Here we have a baseline time function map for a process. One of the goals of using a time function map is to identify steps in the process that do not add value. Do you see any in this process? There appears to be a fair amount of unnecessary waiting going on. Additionally, I would question why it takes sales 12 days to process an order. With some of these wasteful steps identified, we then want to make a target time function map. Illustrated here is the resulting target time function map. By eliminating wasteful steps, the total time dropped from 52 days to 6 days. A very significant improvement. Obviously, implementation of this target time function map may be difficult to achieve, but at least we have a goal to reach for. With value stream mapping, we add the component of value and extend the view to beyond our immediate organization. In this example, we see the value added time versus the non-value added time along the bottom. The value added time is basically when we are transforming raw material or work in process into a state closer to a finished product. Non-value added time is often time spent sitting in inventory, or piled up in front of a machine waiting to be worked on. This picture shows the inventory in triangles with the letter I in it. One way to increase our ratio of value added time to non-value added time is to reduce these piles of inventory. As we will see later on in this course, Chapter 12, making decisions about how much inventory to keep on hand has trade-offs that must be carefully considered. The next tool is a process chart. We now add symbols to show key activities. This example uses circles for operations, triangles for storage, etc. In this chart, an operation equates to a value added time. So we can again compare added value time to non-value added time. The final tool we want to discuss is called service blueprinting. This tool focuses on the interaction between the customer and the service provider. It defines 3 levels of interaction, which we'll see next. Each level has different management issues, but for each level we are trying to identify potential failure points. That is, we want to identify what could go wrong. This example is for an automotive repair shop. Level 1 is what the customer has complete control over, such as deciding to patronize the establishment. Level 2 is where the bulk of the interaction between the customer and the provider takes place. The final level is what the provider has control over and is sometimes thought of as being hidden to the customer. Each level has potential failure points, which are indicated by the circles with the letter F inside them. Notice that the majority of the are identified in level 2, where most of the interaction occurs between the customer and the provider. In many cases, the potential failure point is about communication. The one thing that we might try to do after identifying potential failure points is come up with polka yokes for them. Remember those guys? If not, look at your previous content to refresh your memory. So let's do a quick recap of the tools. Flowcharts provide a view of the big picture. Time function mapping adds rigor and a time element to the flowchart. We then can extend our view to customers and suppliers by using value stream analysis. Process charts show more detail, including a movement of product. And finally, service blueprinting focuses on the customer interaction with the service provider. One last thing from this chapter warrants discussion. It's called process redesign. We've already discussed previously in the course about trying to make things better with tools like SPC charts. However, sometimes the process is so broken that we have to be more radical in our approach. That is, we want to rethink the entire process, questioning why it exists, its underlying assumptions, and carefully determining what value it brings to the organization. Almost any process is a candidate for redesign. And with that, we finish Chapter 7.